Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Nate. We're going to be doing a little bit of A4 Skyhawk today. For those of you who don't know, this is the community A4E Skyhawk, which is made by members of the DCS community. I believe it starts from Reddit, because I think it was originally called Reddit's A4E Skyhawk. But anyways, the end product is a fantastic module made by a very, very dedicated community of developers. 3 years of hard work, and I think it shows how much work they've done. This is a fantastic aircraft. I uploaded the video earlier today of just me testing out various weapons and testing out the aircraft, and I'll probably give my first impressions in the video a little bit later. But she is very fun, and it's free, so it's worth downloading and giving it a go. Unfortunately, you may not be able to use this online because this doesn't pass the integrity check for multiplayer servers. You can host it on your own server, and there is a server that allows this, but there's a lot of stuff to be decided yet how this is going to interact with the community as a whole. Anyways, the reason for this video today is because I was trying to find out how to use the AGM-45 Shrike missile. I couldn't find any guides or documentation on it. In fact, this aircraft at the moment, as of this video, being released 2 days after the initial release, has no documentation, and the documentation are people are using on the Reddit, specifically Hoggit, which is DCS's subreddit, is the FXX manual from Vertavia, and I think the original A4E Skyhawk manual, which doesn't include weapon stuff, as far as I'm aware. So the AGM-45 Shrike is an anti-radiation missile. For those of you who don't know, it's a missile that tracks radar signatures, useful for suppression of enemy air defenses, also known as SEED operations. For those of you who play BMS, obviously, and maybe the F-18 and DCS, you're very familiar with the successor, the AGM-88 Harm missile. Just a little bit backstory. I don't want to go too deep into this because I've had to remake this video twice now. So this is the third remake, and I'm getting rather tired of telling the same story. The Shrike missile was the first missile for anti-radiation for enemy air defenses. It's historically only, I think, the original A variant. I'll just give you a look out there. There's one, and I got one on the other one, the outer pylons. They look like Sparrow missiles. The very first Shrike missiles only had one frequency built into it, so once you were in the air, you had no way of changing that frequency. There's no interface. There's no cockpit interface with the missile. There's no stores management. So on the ground, an engineer would have tuned in the frequency, and you'd go hunt SAM sites of that frequency. If the enemy wasn't on that frequency for the day, you were completely stuffed. I don't know how they've implemented in DCS. I do believe it seems to track most things. I've got two targets ahead of me about 8 nautical miles, which is about the maximum range this thing will reach. Anything beyond 8 nautical miles, this thing will barely touch. Even at 8 nautical miles, it will barely reach this thing. Depending on how altitude, your mileage may vary. But when I launch the missile, it only seems to track the search radar and not the Tunguska. There is a Tunguska and a search radar, so perhaps there is some sort of thing built into it. Again, I don't have documentation, so I'm very liable to be wrong, but I do know what method I am using seems to work. So the methodology I'm sourcing is from a book called Magnum Wild Weasels, of which Chapter 1 is about the early days of wild weaseling, which is you nosing your aircraft towards the threat, and you fire off the missiles when you think you're within maximum range. So I'm just going to turn on to active pause just to show you how it does work. So master arm on, and you put your weapon selector onto bomb/GM, which I presume it's guided missile. Turn off the guns because there's only one trigger, so you don't want the gun to fire off while you're firing off your missiles. And power on the outer 2 pylons. These are the only 2 pylons that can carry Shrike missiles, fortunately. So only 2. So I'm going to unpause it and just going to cruise a little bit further forward just to show you. I'm going to fire one, and you'll get a little beep to let you know you've launched one. There's the targets now, 5 nautical miles away, so I'll fire one. And I'll fire off the other. Now you can see they're off bore, and it's still tracking quite well. I haven't tested how far off bore you can fire them off yet, but I suspect it's got quite a generous cone. Now you can see they're both tracking, and there's an enemy missile incoming, so let me just evade that quickly. There we go. That one seemed to track and hit, and the second one hopefully will also hit. So yeah, they've hit both of them. I haven't destroyed them, but they definitely track and they hit. So I'm just going to put on the replay just to let you guys see what it looks like. So we see in a second that the missile actually misses it by about a meter or so, and it actually took me 4 or 5 tries to get an actual missile to connect with the radar unit itself, which is, I think, pretty accurate historically, because these missiles were notoriously bad and very, very inaccurate. So good luck to those of you who want to use this in the future for your missions or for online engagements. I wish you good luck. It's a fun aircraft and it's a fun operation to do, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. That's all for me today. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next time.